Rule number 8. Set daily stop limits to protect yourself from excessive losses. Once you reach your limit, stop trading for the day, close the computer, come back fresh tomorrow. Never risk more than you can afford to lose. Hey there, Tamir from FIBONACCI'S.com here with the daily market recap. Please hit the like, subscribe, share with friends, and without any further ado, let's see the charts. Bulls of the IWM are here and are here to stay. Money shifting from SPY and the Qs towards the small caps, the Russell 2000. IWM is the ETF. And since we said break up and above the 180, and here we are now at the 187, it is the 618 Fibonacci retracement. We have downtrend, bounce, 618. Now let's see if bulls of the IWM have enough power in their legs and hands to push price up towards the 192 and towards the 200s. SPY, as we said, money shifting from SPY and the Qs to the IWM. So we have 3 consecutive days, 430 to the upside, nothing much on the SPY, 3 consecutive dojis. Let's see, this gap needs to get filled. Bulls of SPY needs to get some rest, and they are resting. Closing this gap will be very healthy before the next leg up. QQQ, trend lines are the true support resistance for price action, and this yellow trend line, you know it. Check previous videos. We drew this trend line few weeks back, and since end of May, this yellow trend line is holding as a very tough resistance for price, together with the 357. Now 346 to the downside needs to hold, otherwise 338, and this gap at the 333. More than 80% of all gaps will get filled throughout time, and this gap at the 333, the sooner the better, and then bulls of the Qs can bounce back up, back towards this yellow trend line at 371. Dow Jones trying, still below this red trend line. This red trend line goes back to January of 2022. Since then, each and every time price reached, got rejected. Let's see if bulls of the Dow can finally break up and above towards 340. Once again, failing. If they will close the week below this red trend line, in my opinion, next week, this gap will get filled, but it's only my opinion. Never follow blindly anyone on social media, paid or free services. XLE, back to the 82. Now, all we need to see is break up and above towards 84 and 87. Double bottom scenario on the XLE. Very interesting. Worth watching. Ethereum. Basically moving sideways, as we can see, since April. Almost 2 months of sideways move, with the 1800s to the downside is holding together with this white trend line. 1940 to the upside. Resistance short below 1800 and this white trend line, in my opinion. If this area will break to the downside, 1624 and 1373 to the downside. Long continuation above 1940 towards 2012 and 2130. Bitcoin, you know these trend lines. We drew all these trend lines few weeks back. Red trend line helps us to identify the short term since April, lower lows. White trend line since April, lower highs. Downtrend, 2 months of a downtrend. Yellow trend line needs to hold, otherwise red trend line continuing sliding towards purple trend line. KRE You know that we have been following KRE. We have been waiting for a break above the 42. Yesterday broke above. Today continuation towards the 44. This 44, 45 area, in my opinion, will not be easy. Continuation towards 47 and 51. Now 42 needs to hold as support. Apple, not surprising, bulls of Apple taking a rest. 176, 177 needs to hold. We have this slight gap over here, which will get filled, in my opinion, by the end of this week. And then we will look for a bounce from this white trend line back to the upside above 176 towards this white trend line to the upside together with this 185. Microsoft minus 3% on the daily. 324 now broke to the downside. Microsoft is going to fill this gap at the 317. 313 with the red trend line needs to hold. Otherwise, we are back inside this channel towards 298. Tesla opened the day with a gap up above the 225, but closed below it. We have this gap, morning's gap, needs to get filled. Then 212 and the 207 is the next support that we need to look at. Follow price, use levels as your risk management to the downside, and future resistance to the upside. Netflix, same as Microsoft, opened at the gap up at the 2.5% to the upside, almost all the way to the 420. Then this red trend line together with the 412 pulled price back inside, back below this red trend line, and this red trend line is not giving up as resistance. Now 393 to the downside needs to hold, otherwise we are going towards 379. Google 3.8 to the downside, but this trend line is holding for now, breaking down and under 121, 117, and maybe a double top scenario towards the gap at the 113. Pullback on the SPYs and the Qs and all the names inside them, especially the big names, is very healthy at this point because all of them made 50% or more year to date. Amazon, same thing. Uptrend, yellow uptrend still holding, failing to do so. In my opinion, red trend line at the 110 area is next. Let's see where might be heading. 117, 114, and 112 together with this red trend line. Fibonacci and trend lines gives us roadmap for future price action, for support and resistance. Learn the in-depth relationship between candlestick analysis, trend lines, and Fibonacci, and then you will become your own indicator. Check the links in the description below. We have the Academy playlist, it's free. We have the Fibonacci newsletter, it's free. We have a podcast, Fibonaccis-Traders podcast, new and free. Check it out. Join our Discord. Nvidia, yellow trend line is holding. Below it, in my opinion, Nvidia is going to close this gap at the 314. Shopify. Yesterday, we thought Shopify finally breaking up and above towards the next leg up, towards the blue trend line, but risk management. We said our risk is the 60-70, our stop hit, and now this yellow trend line with the 57 is the next support. Otherwise, we have double top also on Shopify. Breaking below the 57, we are heading towards the gap at the 48. more than 80% of all gaps will get filled. If you see a gap, take under consideration that it will get filled. Meta trend lines are the true support resistance for price action. I sound like a broken record, but it is what it is. Trend lines, candlestick analysis, and Fibonacci if you want. Now looks like Meta is going back towards the 248. Very healthy pullback. We had a run, pullback, run, pullback. And as long as these two trend lines are holding, Meta is in an uptrend. One candle does not signal any change of a trend. This is why we have trend lines. AMD 116 is holding for now. Below it, we are going to the 108 to fill this gap, following price, using trend lines, and if you want, not necessarily, but you can use also Fibonacci, which gives you the perfect support and resistance for future price action. And as we can see, below this area, we are going towards 109, filling this gap. Fibonacci, trend lines, and the relationship with candlestick analysis. So I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please hit a like, subscribe, share with friends. Don't forget to check the links in the description below for more educational resources. Until the next video, do good things.